My rest number is URK17CS174, and this is the fourth experiment in the mobile application development app. So now let's look at that. So this is an app that involves SQL operations, and basically we have a set of users that can sign up, log in, and log out. So we'll just be looking first at some code of the SQL part. So we're creating a new class, database helper, which extends the SQLite open helper. Now only a class which extends this particular class can interact with databases in Android. So we created a constructor, and we're just calling the super of of this class. So basically SQLite open helpers constructor. So after that, there are two mandatory override methods that we have to override in our extended class. So this onCreate method takes an SQLite database argument, and for that what we have done is basically inside this we have created a query, an SQL query, to create the table users with four different columns: name, email, mobile number, and password. So after that, there's a try catch to try and execute this query. If it executes, it will go through. Otherwise it will just catch the exception and print the stack trace. The on upgrade is just overridden for compulsory reason. Apart from that, in this app there is no particular function that is performed. These two methods are made by us. So basically this method is used to save the user data. It takes the four fields that are needed: name, email, password, mobile number. It creates a new database object, and this, since we have to insert data, it gets the writable database. And to insert values, we basically need a content values object, and in each of it we put the parameters that have been received. So name, email, mobile number, password, these are the column names of in the table. And then what we do is db.insert. Now this is the insertion method, and this is the table name where the data has to go, and this null, and this is the data that needs to be inserted. So this returns a long result, and this result is stored and it is returned. In the view data, it's a similar process, but we get the readable database. This time, since we are only reading from the database, we start a cursor object. Now this cursor object will help us go through whatever data we retrieve. And here db.rawQuery executes this command. So select star from users, so basically the whole table. Selection arguments are null over here. Now here we move around the data using the cursor that we have created here. So while there's still data to examine, what we do is we basically go row by row, and we take the name, email, phone, and password. Now this is just to view the data, so we append it to this string output and we return it. Now the login database has to check whether a valid credential pair exists, and it's going to return the count if it does. So what's going to happen here is basically start a readable database. We will get the readable database, we start a cursor object, and we execute this query where we check either the email and the password match, or the mobile number or the password match, and we return the count. Basically, if a, a valid credential pair exists, then the count should be 1, and that will be returned. Now this is to get the user's details. Similar to the query from here, we get the readable database, we execute the query, and what we do is we create a new hash table, and we will put all the details that we have created into this hash table, and we'll return the hash table. So after that is the main activity. The main activity's design is quite simple. It's just three text views, two edit text, and two image buttons. So these fields are required for the login, and as soon as you click this, login process will be checked, and this is the sign up screen, so it will just take you to the sign up screen. So let's look at the code for that. For the main activity, it's quite simple. So just set this properly. So we find all the elements on the screen, start a new database helper project. To interact with the database, we need this object. So if you see here, the parameters are the context, this is the name of the database, and this is the factory, which is null, and this is the version. So for the sign up image button, it just has to start the signup.java file. So for that, we are just going to create a new intent, and we're going to provide the destination as signup class, and we're going to start the activity. After that, for the submit button, this is where the login gets checked. So for that, we take the username and password, we put it through the login method, and we see if account greater than 0 is returned. If it is, then what we do is we get the user details and we feed it into a new put extra. So this, whatever details we get here, will be passed on to the next screen, and the user will also see an alert dialog here. As soon as OK is clicked, all this data is passed on through to the new screen in which it will be displayed. So let's look at the sign up screen. The sign up screen is just text view and four edit text to collect data from the user, and a sign up button. As soon as you sign up, you will also see an alert dialog. If you see here, we find the four text views, and as soon as you sign up, and you will see another dialog again saying welcome, you are now a member. And when you click OK, you will go back to the main page so that you can log in again. And finally is the dashboard.java file. Now here dashboard.java has only two edit text in the starting, but everything else is added programmatically. So for that, we basically get the intent, we get the extras, whatever is passed in from the main activity, and we put them into variables. We start the layout, we created four different text views for each of the columns that we pass in here, and we set the properties for them like we need, and we set the text and we display them. Finally, we are adding it to the layout so they will be displayed. And finally, in the end, we add a logger button, which is just going to take us back to the main class. So this will be the login screen again. So let's just look at a demo for this. If we just go here and just going to add, we just filled in some data and just going to sign up, and we see you're now a member. So as soon as you click that, you go back and just going to log in again. That was a credential. So as soon as you click, you see your alert dialog again which says you are now logged in. And when you click OK, you go back and you see your information. You see that this is your password and this is exactly what we have entered. So finally, this is the logger button and you are back at the main screen. So as we can see, the app is working perfectly and as intended. So this is the end of the fourth experiment in the mobile application development lab. Thank you.